What up? How you guys doing out there today? This is your boy Roto Beast. I'm here with my boy Jeremy. We're here to present you our NBA morning shoot around for Friday, January 11th. If you're new to this channel, please make sure and click the subscribe button below. This way you can watch all of our NBA, NFL, and MLB videos. If you haven't came and checked out our website here at dfscheatsheet.com, you're absolutely missing out. We have all the tools to help you compete with the pros day in and day out, including a complete optimizer, tons of content, daily Fanduel and Draftkings cash lineups, and we're truly a one-stop shop for all your DFS needs. So make sure to check out the site here at dfscheatsheet.com. So, hey, how you doing out there, Jeremy?
Yo, what's up, man? Friday. I'm ready to get into this, man. Let's get some money.
Man. Real quick, before we do get into this, hey, man, last night, the optimal lineup on our optimizer, you know, our number one lineup, whenever you come to optimizer, it pumps out a lineup for the day. Obviously, you don't play this lineup. We still have a couple hours. They're waiting on some injury news, etc. But, hey, last night, the optimizer took down the $15 3-entry max GPP from one of our members. Quick little $15 into $1,200. Definitely can't go wrong with that. You know, you almost got 11 times return on your money. So yeah, man, that was a really, really good come up for our DFS cheat sheet member Alfonso. Yeah, man, I mean, I'm ready to jump into this.
Let's go.
Actually, I'm sorry, I was wrong. It's actually a 1,200 divided by $15 is divided by 50. Hold on, sorry about that. Divided by 50. Yeah, actually, so it's 80 times return on your investment. Sorry about that. I want to get you the exact number. So, hey, monster night nonetheless for Alfonso. Congratulations. The optimizer's optimal line went crazy. Come check out the site, dfscheatsheet.com. I'm ready to jump into this video. If you guys don't mind, real quick, click that like button for me down below. Helps me out. I really appreciate that from you guys. And we'll just jump right into it. The first game we're going to talk about is going to be the Atlanta Hawks going into Philadelphia to face the 76ers. This game has the highest implied total on the slate of 232, and Philadelphia is favored by 12.5 in this one.
I'm kind of moving on. Honestly, I'm going to look at Jeremy Lin in this game in tournaments at 5.1. The guy's playing almost 25 minutes a game right now. Had really solid outings in his last two. I do understand that Kevin Huerter and his performance has also been at a high level. But look, I'm not interested in Atlanta on a 9-game slate. There's other spots to go here.
Yeah, man. I mean, for me on the Philadelphia side of things, I'm kind of in the same boat as you, man. It's like, do we want to pay up for Simmons or Embiid or even Butler at an $8,000 price tag? Will we expect this game to definitely be a blowout? That's really the big thing. I think the only guy really on the Philadelphia side of things that you could look at, in JJ Redick, he's a game time decision right now. If he is out again, you could possibly go back to this guy, Korbakov. His price tag went up a couple hundred, but, you know, it's still not too bad. He's been playing some minutes, and he's been producing in that starter role with Redick out. So I think he's a value play you can look at, but I'm not going to pay up for any of these guys in a game that I definitely expect to be a blowout. So we can move on to the next game. This game actually is going to be really interesting. You got the Milwaukee Bucks going into Washington to face the Wizards. This game has a 227 over-under, and Milwaukee's favored by 1 in this one.
Hey, bro, real quick, I just want to the investment numbers you're talking about, the 80 times ROI, it's more like a 7,900% return on your investment when you talk about in about 4 hours you took $15 and turned it into $1,200. So it's not even at 80 times, it's more like 7,900% if you use an ROI calculator. So I just wanted to clear that up. That was bugging me. I had to put that
the same thing at the end of the day.
Yeah. All right. So if Giannis is out here, which he's doubtful, you know, yesterday he was probable with the hip injury. Now today he's doubtful. If Giannis is out, look, we've got 3 guys who could possibly be out here. And anytime you got a situation with 3 guys who could possibly be out, there's a ton of minutes to make up. Malcolm Brogdon to me becomes option number 1 on this team if Giannis is out. You know, I don't really want to get too deep into this bench here with Milwaukee because a lot of guys don't play a lot of minutes, and the guys that do, like you take a look at a George Hill averaging 22 minutes. He's not producing a lot. Is he going to all of a sudden play 30 minutes today and he's going to produce a ton? maybe. But Malcolm Brogdon's been playing at a high level throughout as a normal member of the rotation, and that's the number one target for me in this situation. Even if Bledsoe's out as well, it would just further want me to play Malcolm Brogdon even more. But Brogdon's the number one beneficiary. If all three guys are out, Ilyasova is the guy that I think is the most probable to play just because he's been out. He came back. He got some limited run. Ilyasova is the guy that I look to be probably more probable than any of the three. So having said that, Brogdon, you can also play Middleton. Don't go really beyond that. I mean, if you want to play George Hill in tournaments, fine. I just don't see the need for it.
Yeah, man. I personally think that if Bledsoe and Antetokounmpo is out, I definitely think that I personally think Middleton is the number one beneficiary with Malcolm Brogdon right behind.
There's not any circumstance in the world that I would agree with you on that for the simple fact that Malcolm Brogdon's a guard, right, and Malcolm Brogdon will facilitate the basketball, and his usage rate would be the one that gets a huge bump.
Yeah, my only thing with this, I just feel like Middleton has a little bit more upside, actual upside than Brogdon. But either way, I mean, I'm gonna be honest with you.
I think low key Chris Middleton might be your favorite NBA player though.
Hey, I like Middleton, bro. I'm a fan. Hey, I'm gonna be honest though. If all those guys are out, I usually wouldn't say this, especially on an 8-game slate. But I think that Chris Middleton and Brogdon are both fair enough price that if Giannis and Bledsoe were out, I think you could play both of those guys and feel comfortable with it.
Oh, for sure.
Because I mean, those guys are by far away the best two plays if both of those guys are out.
And I don't mind George Hill in the spot. I just don't think. Look, my thing with George Hill is he doesn't have. I don't think George Hill's going to go out there and get you a 10x tonight out of nowhere, starting for Bledsoe. I think Brogdon will hog up a ton of usage.
I agree. No, I definitely agree with you. Like I said, so we're on the same page. Middleton, Brogdon, by far the best plays if both of those guys are out. Yeah, so next game that we're really going to so on the Washington side of things, man, I really don't know what to do with Washington because, we talked about it. No John Wall. There are some guys that are out that we like. But the problem is all these guys' price tags have really came up. On the Washington side of things. Bradley Beal at almost 10,000. It's a pretty crazy price for Bradley Beal. Definitely, like I said, I think that Bradley Beal could be in play. I just don't know if I want to pay $9,500 for him on a big slate like this. Satoransky, his price went up to $6,200. Ariza's at $6,100. Same price as Otto Porter. I think the guy to play, I'm going to go right back to the well, is going to be Otto Porter. You mentioned him last time, coming off a dud. You talked about how he would get back and play his minutes. And sure enough, that's exactly what happened. He played 33 minutes, picked up some of the scoring load, got you 23 points, 6 rebounds, 3 steals. And his price jumped $200. And the difference between Otto Porter and Ariza is I feel Otto Porter is a much better scorer. So I think that the play on the Washington side of things is Otto Porter.
I love Thomas Bryant. Thomas Bryant. Price drop. I love Thomas Bryant.
Yeah. No, I got you. All right. You ready to move on to the next game?
Yep.
Next game we're going to go with is going to be the Brooklyn Nets going into Toronto to face the Raptors. This game has a 222.5 over under, and Toronto is favored by 10. Hey, bro, real quick. You didn't tell me I wasn't sharing my screen for the viewers. They had to see me looking super rough today, bro.
I'm not even looking at your screen, bro.
And I was looking now, I was like, oh shit, why they gotta see me if I haven't shaved or nothing? But let's get into this game. So the game we're going to talk about is going to be the Brooklyn Nets going into Toronto to face the Raptors. 222.5 over under. Toronto's favored by 10 in this one.
Look, I mean, I've been a proponent of DeMarre Carroll all year long. I like DeMarre Carroll, 5.4. I like him at this in this spot, just because. Look, we know the history with DeMarre Carroll, a little bit of a narrative, etc. So I like DeMarre Carroll a little bit here. Joe Harris, if you want to play Joe Harris as a punt / value salary saver, I don't have a problem with Joe Harris. I don't think he's one of the best plays. For the most part, I'm going to fade Brooklyn.
Yeah, I mean, think about it is Toronto is. I mean, not only are they one of the best teams in the league, but they're also one of the best teams at home as well. So I mean, you're getting them a date at home with the Brooklyn team. I mean, don't get me wrong, Brooklyn is they are an improved team. Like they're playing better this year compared to the past couple years. But at the same time, I mean, Toronto is just a really good team. So, I mean, if you think this game could stay somewhat even a little bit close, you can look at Kyle Lowry, 7,800. I think it's a very, very fair price tag for Kyle Lowry at under 8,000. We know this guy's an $8,500 player. Definitely think he is in play. If Danny Green is out again, then you could go right back to the well and look at Van Fleet. You can look at DeLon Wright as well. But I think that Danny Green is going to be back today. I mean, last game he just got rested. He wasn't hurt. I think that's going to push Van Fleet back to the bench. So, I mean, if it's a blowout and you think Van Fleet's going to get some run with that second unit, then I definitely think you can still consider him. Obviously, Kawhi, his price dropped a little bit. He's under 10,000 at 9,600. And he gives us a solid floor. I just don't know if the upside's there, if this is going to be a blowout. But he's coming off two really good games against Milwaukee and against Atlanta. And we thought that this Atlanta game was going to be a blowout. And he still ended up playing 34 minutes and getting us 58 fantasy points. So I definitely think that Kawhi is in play. You can look at their two big guys, it's Siakam and Ibaka. Both of their price tags are up, but the guys are playing well right now with Jonas Valanciunas. I really just don't know what to do with this Toronto side of things because I feel it is going to get out of hand. So I'm just going to stick with the main guys. I think it's Kyle Lowry, Leonard. I think they're really good GPP plays. And then you can look at Siakam and Ibaka.
Look, man, Brooklyn. The thing with Brooklyn, I'm going to say, is they don't get blown out. I mean, they've been blown out like once. And I guess you would have to define blowout. But, I mean, at the end of the fourth quarter, if it's a 16-point game, I guess on paper that's a blowout. But Brooklyn plays hard, and they're a 500 team. Nobody would have thought Brooklyn would be a 500 team. So I definitely would caution the blowout here. I think that for at least 3 quarters, Brooklyn will play really, really hard, and they'll keep this game relatively close.
Yeah, no, for sure. Like I said, I mean, if it's going to be even within a 10-point game going into the fourth quarter, then I like the Toronto guys that much more. I just don't know if that's really what's going to happen. Especially Toronto, they're healthy right now. Outside of Valanciunas, they're getting all their guys back, and we know they're a really good defensive team.
Yeah.
Moving on to the next game. Next game we're going to go with is going to be the Indiana Pacers going into New York to face the Knicks. This game has a 219.5 over under, and Indiana is favored by 8.5 in this one.
I'm not interested in really a lot here, and for really one reason. I'm interested in Oladipo at 8.5. I am. Anytime that you've got a team going into New York, I think guys like to play a lot. Guys get up for that. They get up to go play Madison Square Garden. So you look at Sabonis, price is way up. You look at Thaddeus Young, price is way up. And are you going to play Kyle O'Quinn? I get the narrative. O'Quinn hasn't played terrible. But he hasn't played great either, and there's not a ton of minutes for him. So, if you want to take a chance with the narrative on a Kyle O'Quinn in tournaments, go ahead. Just don't get crazy with it and go 100% exposure to him. But if you want to get 1 or 2 spots with O'Quinn, don't have a problem with it. I do like Bogdanovich at 5.8 with Miles Turner out. I think that this is really – I say this a lot about guys. This is a Bogdanovich game, it's to me. Really good player on the perimeter, can rebound the basketball a little bit. Bogdanovich is the guy probably the one guy I really like outside of Oladipo.
Yeah, man. On the New York side thing, I mean, it's the same story with New York that's been happening the past couple of years. They're trying to play their young guys, so nobody's getting real consistent minutes. That's one thing that I'm really noticing about the New York guys things. Obviously, they got some guys that are fantasy viable, definitely. Right now, we got Enes Kanter out. They also got Mitchell Robinson, their backup center, out. So I'm interested to see kind of how the rotation is going to shake out. I think Cornette started last game, correct?
He did. Cornette's been starting.
Okay, yeah. So I mean, but the thing is, even with Cornette though, 4,800. I mean, the price tag is not a give me price tag, and I mean, what is he like? You just said that he's been starting. What has he really been doing? I mean, he hasn't really. He had one good game against Milwaukee. 35 fantasy points, Utah 29, but he got more minutes, and then the minutes have been kind of trending down with with Canner out now, with Robinson out, maybe he could get, back to the 28, 30 minutes. And if he does that in this spot, with Miles Turner out, I definitely think Cornette could possibly have a good game. But like I said, just not a give me price tag. If you're looking to pay down somewhere, it possibly could be with him. Honestly, I mean, the Knicks team are just kind of all over the place. Vonleh, he was getting consistent 30-minute run every single game. Now, I mean, if you look at his past 5 games, he's touched 30 minutes only one time. And the minutes are really trending down, 23, 17, 28, 18. So his minutes aren't there at a 6.3 price tag. Another guy that, was getting consistent minutes earlier in the year was Moutier. Moutier was getting consistent 30 minutes a game for a good little stretch. Now his minutes are even kind of getting buzzed off a little bit. In the past 5 games, he's played 30 minutes or more. 2 of the past 5 games. Obviously, in both of those games that he did play 30-plus minutes, he had really good games because Moutier is a good player. He definitely has upside. I just don't know if the minutes are going to be there for him. And I hate playing the guessing game when it comes to minutes because these NBA coaches, they bench people for like some of the silliest things there is. So another guy too, and this is crazy because whenever nobody got minutes, one person that always got their minutes for New York was Tim Hardaway. Even Tim Hardaway is getting his minutes buzzed off. And 4 games since coming back from injury, he had monster game against the Lakers, 38 actual scoring. 38 minutes, 22 actual scoring points. So he had a really good game. But the other games, he's just getting 26 minutes, 26, 20. His price tag is actually low. It dropped. He was close to 7,000, for the early part of the season. And, he's already faced Indiana 2 times this year. He played a ton of minutes, and he has solid games, 29, 35 fantasy points. On this 5.4 price tag, you'll definitely take these kind of games. And the minutes were there, though. That's the thing. The minutes were there earlier in the year. Are the minutes going to really be there? So for me with New York, I'm not trying to completely ramble on. I just honestly don't really know what to do with New York because the minutes for everybody's kind of all over the place. If you have a little bit more suggestion or a clear idea what's going on in New York, feel free to jump in. But for me, it's just like, I just don't know what to expect with the minutes and stuff.
New York is extremely simple. I'm going to put it to you in just a few words. Luke Cornette, worth the price tag tonight at 4.8 with Enes Kanter out with an illness and no Mitchell Robinson. He's the guy they're starting at center. The other 2 centers that are listed on this roster are out. So a ton of runs should be coming his way tonight. Second guy is Kevin Knox at 5,000. I told you guys this before. I will tell you again, the only guy that they're committed to playing right now is this young guy, Kevin Knox. I really think they're looking for Porzingis to come back and play the center spot, and this will be their young power forward. So Kevin Knox is a guy, and Cornette's a guy. Outside of that, move on.
Cool, bro. Yeah, like I said, man, the minutes are just all jumbling up everywhere.
Knox is getting his, though. Knox is playing. The guy's playing.
I seen that. When you talked about him, I looked over it. Yeah, I seen that for sure. So, yeah, man, we'll move on to the next game. Next game we're going to go with. This game possibly could really turn into a blowout quickly. We got Cleveland Cavaliers going into Houston to face the Rockets. This game has a 217 over-under, and Houston's favored by 14 in this one.
Look, so we've got Channing Frye projected to start, and that's because that will 100% hinge on Rodney Hood. But let's just pop it open and take a look. It's not worth the 3.6 drop spot with some other guys at center you could play tonight. So let's just get that out of the way first. Secondly, if I said this on the last video when we're talking about Cleveland playing New Orleans, if Cleveland knocks the 3 down, Cleveland will be in the game. If Cleveland doesn't knock the 3 down, they will not be in this game. Perimeter defense is not a strong suit of Houston at all. So, it's going to come down to shot making in this game. Jordan Clarkson is 6,000. Alec Burks, both those guys still in play, the best pure scorers on this team. If you want to take a look at Colin Sexton at 4.5, I don't have a problem with that. The minutes are there. And we know they don't defend the point guard very well, Houston, that is. So here's the thing. Ordinarily in a blowout situation, you want to fade that team, right? But they don't have very many players because, if Rodney Hood is out, they're going to be down 4 guys. So the guy to me that's the sleeper guy in this whole mix is Dellavedova. That's the sleeper guy. If you want to take a shot on a tournament play with Cleveland, take a shot with the Matthew Dellavedova. through the first, if you play him, I'm just going to tell you this. Through the first half, you play him and you look down, the guy's played 4 minutes and he's got 2 points, and you're going to be like, God, I can't believe I listened to this dude tell me to play Della Vadova. Wait till that ends in the fourth quarter and the dude could have close to 24, 25 fantasy points. It's happened 2 or 3 times this season in the same exact spot. So if you want to take a chance with Della Vadova. Outside of that, Jordan Clarkson and Burks are both still in play. I don't like Tristan Thompson going against Clint Capella.
Yeah, man. I mean, and then it goes back to me and you actually had this discussion the other day. We were talking about, we really liked Anthony Davis against Cleveland, but we didn't trust that the game was going to stay close. Well, guess what? Anthony Davis had, one of the best games of his season, had like 80 fantasy points. So, I mean, there is some upside at this price tag still for Harden. Like you said, it's all about if Cleveland is knocking down their threes, kind of, being competitive, because they have the guys to kind of keep it close, at least through 3 quarters. It's just all about if the shots are going down or not. So first thing first, you start with Harden, going against Cleveland, 12.6. The price tag definitely is up, but he's given us a solid floor. And for cash games, that's what we're always looking at. And then you can go with Austin Rivers. I mean, the price tag continues to keep climbing, but they continue to keep playing this guy a ton of minutes.
Hey, bro, real quick, I don't want to interrupt you, but just to get this out there, because we've hit this game already, but it's now not just Redick, it's Embiid also as a game time decision. So make sure you guys watch that.
Yeah, so if Embiid and Redick are out, then I definitely think that Simmons and Butler get a big time boost.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you look at Austin Rivers, he's played at least 37 minutes. Yes, 37 minutes in 6 straight games. And I understand he hasn't had the absolute monster games, but in daily fantasy sports, minutes equal opportunity. The opportunities here for Austin Rivers going against a young Cavs team. 5,000 still, the price tag has bumped a little bit, but I definitely think it's a fair price tag for a guy that's played 37, 38 minutes. So you go with Harden, you go with Rivers, and then we can talk about the guy that you mentioned last time. They really started committed to playing this guy. They like him a lot. And Daniel House, 4,600. The price tag isn't like a minimum price tag where you can punt with them, but I definitely think that he is in play. The guy's a guy, he does a little bit of everything. He fills up the stat sheet. I definitely think that I would much rather play Daniel House over a Gerald Green, over a James Ennis. He's probably the guy that I feel most comfortable playing. And then the only other guy really is Capella. Capella going against Tristan Thompson. Tristan Thompson isn't a rollover defender that sucks. Tristan Thompson is, a decent defender. But outside of Tristan Thompson, you got Larry Nance injured. They're going to play Channing Frye down low. Channing Frye will get eaten up when Tristan Thompson goes out by Capella. So I definitely think that Capella still is in play at 9,000. You need 45 for value. The guy's been playing very well in the season. I think my favorite 3 plays for Houston is going to be James Harden, Austin Rivers, and Clint Capella.
Moving on.
Next game we're going to talk about is going to be the Dallas Mavericks going into Minnesota to face the Timberwolves. This game has a 224.5 over under, and Minnesota is favored by 5 in this one.
Look, Maxi Kleber is a guy that at minimum value I played a lot. When he was under 4,000. I don't know if I like him on this slate in this spot going against a Karl Anthony Towns, a Taj Gibson, etc. But you can definitely take a shot with him in tournaments as a power forward number 2. I just think that there's a lot more upside with a Kevin Knox at 5,000 for the extra $1,000. So that's the Maxi Kleber situation. Outside of that, I'm not really looking to get very much exposure to Dallas. I just don't think there's a lot of upside here for tournaments. DeAndre Jordan playing solid, Harrison Barnes playing solid, Wesley Matthews playing solid, all playing solid minutes. Problem is I need upside. I need major upside on a 9-game slate, and I don't know that I have that kind of upside outside of maybe Doncic at 8.2, and I think Oladipo against the Knicks may be a little bit of a better play there. So this is kind of a fade for me in this spot. Without Dennis Smith Jr., look, Barea, we could talk about it all day long. Devin Harris, Brunson. Problem is a lot of those guys, all 3 of those guys are getting a little bit of run. So I'm not really interested in that either. So, outside of maybe Doncic, I'm going to keep clear of of Dallas on this slate.
Yeah, man. And then, I mean, on the Minnesota side of things, I mean, nobody's really jumping out to me. First thing first, it's like Jeff Teague and Derrick Rose, they've been out. So Tyus Jones had got a bump. Andrew Wiggins had got a bump. They needed these guys to play. Now, Derrick Rose says he will play today. Jeff Teague is back in the mix. Both of those guys are going to get their minutes. So that takes away Tobias Jones. Wiggins 7,400. His price tag, really climbed up because of the usage of what he had to do with the other guys out. Now with the other guys back in, I definitely think that takes away from Andrew Wiggins, and I don't really want to pay 7,400 for him when he's pretty much going to be the third or fourth option with the other guys back. I understand he's coming off, a monster game against OKC where he put up 61 fantasy points, scored 40 actual points, 10 rebounds, 4 assists, a block, and a steal. But you can't expect him to do this again. You just can't. I mean, if he was going to be putting up these kind of numbers, he would have already been doing it regularly the past couple of years because the opportunity's been there. The guy has upside. He had a monster game. I'm not going to chase this game. I'm not really on Andrew Wiggins too much in this particular matchup. You got Taj Gibson. He's a guy, 4,600. You could possibly throw him in there as a cheap power forward too to kind of help you pay up elsewhere. He does give you, I guess somewhat of a solid floor, but he does have those occasional games where he's going to get you the 13, 17. And then you could look at, Saric. They're pretty much using Saric as the sixth man off the bench, 3,900. I mean, I think, Sark is you could possibly use him really kind of like as your job spot play if you want to go that route. But I definitely think there's a couple other guys that we're going to talk about a little bit later that we probably want to use as our drop spot. But the minutes, he is starting to get minutes consistent in the low 20s. And then lastly, you got Karl-Anthony Towns. He's been playing very, very well since the Butler trade, really been picking it up. The problem with Karl-Anthony Towns tonight, though, is the fact he's going to be going head-to-head with DeAndre Jordan. DeAndre Jordan is a really good defender. That's really the thing that's really scaring me on Towns. Towns faced him earlier in the year already one time, and he got you 31 real-life points. But like I said, DeAndre Jordan was down there begging, so his rebounds were down a little bit. He scored 44 actual fantasy points. So I definitely think Towns is a GPP play. I mean, I honestly don't know what to do in Minnesota. I think that you could look at Derrick Rose. You could look at even at Teague as GPP plays. Possibly look at Wiggins as a GPP play. Maybe Towns as GPP. But with everybody back and healthy, I just don't know if you have to really reach for these Minnesota guys who are all priced pretty fairly.
Moving on.
Next game we got is going to be the Charlotte Hornets going into Portland to face the Trailblazers. This game has a 224 over under, and Portland favored by 6.5 in this one.
So look, the Kemba Walker splits is real, right? I mean, they've been on this road trip, and this guy has not played really, really good at all, and he's been in some really good spots. So maybe tonight's the night. I don't know, but I'm not looking to play Walker. Jeremy Lamb at 5.7, that's the guy, right? I mean, price is down. I like him in this spot. There's a little bit of a narrative here for Nicholas Batum. Nicholas Batum has played a hell of a lot better in his last 3 games than he's played at any point probably in the last full calendar year. So if you want to take a look at him at 5.3, by all means. But the paydown spot we're going to get to is in the next game at the small forward position. So I'm not really interested too much in Charlotte outside of Jeremy Lamb. If you want to take a swing with Marvin Williams, fine, but you've got this group of guys who are in this $5,700 to like $4,800 price range, and I think the top guy in that is Cornette. So if I can get Cornette at 4.8, I'm not really on Marvin Williams. So that's kind of how I feel about Charlotte. Tony Parker is a guy worth mentioning. He's in the same category as Jeremy Lin. Tony Parker's played really well this season in a lot of spots. This could be another one. Very familiar with Portland and those guys. He's going to get some minutes again in this spot as well. So if you want to take a tournament like a Patty Mills play, like last night, Patty Mills was this exact same spot as Tony Parker's in. So that's kind of where I'm at with Charlotte.
Yeah, man. So on the Portland side of things, I mean, you just look at the obvious guys. Don't try to get cute with it. I expect Mo Harkless, he was out last game. That he was resting. I expect him to be back today. Or is he out? Let me look.
He's already been ruled out.
Oh, he already has been ruled out. Okay, and who started for him?
Jake Layman. Jake Layman.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And Layman is, to me, there's two guys. There's Layman and there's Royce O'Neal we'll get to next. But those are the two guys that it's small forward to pay down for. Jake Layman had a really nice game. Not their previous game, but 2 games ago, he had a really nice game starting in the same spot. He had a double-double, really nice game. So Layman's a very playable drop spot guy with a lot of upside.
Right. Okay. So yeah. So you got Damian Lillard under 9,000, very fair price tag for him. Definitely think he's in play. You also got CJ McCollum under 7,000. Definitely think he's in play as well. Nurkic 9,000. The price tag is up. Don't get me wrong, but who is Charlotte really going to throw at him? I mean, they're going to throw at him Hernan Gomez and Biyombo. But I still think that, Nurkic could have a really good game here. I definitely think he could. The guy's been on an absolute tear lately. He's their 3rd best player on the team. They need this guy to perform night in and night out. And I definitely think, like I said, this is a spot that he could have a solid game going against Charlotte. So it's going to be, Damian Lillard. It's going to be McCollum, Nurkic. And then, like you said, Layman, if he's going to get the start and he's going to play some decent minutes, I definitely think you could use him as a drop spot as well. And even if he just got us this 28 fantasy points that he got us against New York, we would definitely take that on a 3.7 price tag. That's almost 7x on this price tag. So I definitely like Layman. I think that's a really good call. And that's really it for me, man. I'm gonna stick with the main guys and throw in Layman in, and that's it.
You have to mention again Seth Curry coming off the bench. Seth Curry had a really solid game. I mentioned him for the previous video we did. I was all over Seth Curry at 4,000. His price didn't change. The problem Seth Curry had was he turned the ball over like 5 times in that game and ended up only with like 16 points. So I think he scored 21 real points, knocked the 3 down, was like 4 of 6 from beyond the arc. I think he was 6 of 8 shooting the basketball. He's going to get minutes again. And the other guy you have to mention is Zach Collins at 4.3. Problem is, Zach Collins at 4.3. He's played 21 and 22 minutes in his last 2 games, and that's got a direct effect with the Mo Harkless deal. And it was against New York and Chicago, I believe. So take that for what it's worth. My deal with Collins is Collins falls right into this category of you want Cornette playing a full complement of minutes, or you want Collins making up some minutes for Harkless who's out. I'll take Cornette all day long. We'll move on to the next game.
So moving on to the next game. Real quick, before I do move on to the next game, I do want to quickly mention just some more news that came in. Embiid now, they said he couldn't finish his morning workout. His ankle was bothering him too much. He left early for a treatment. So for me, my idea, I'm taking that news as I think that Embiid is kind of trending more towards doubtful now, especially in a game that they should be able to win even without him going against an Atlanta team who isn't very good. So I just quickly want to throw that out there real quick. It just came in as we were as you were in the middle of talking about Charlotte. So moving on to the next game. Next game we're going to go with is going to be the Los Angeles Lakers going into Utah to face the Jazz. This game has a 215.5 over under, and Utah is favored by 8.5 in this one.
There's 5 guys that you can play for the Lakers right now, and JaVale McGee is not one of them. And the reason I'm going to mention those 5 guys is because of minutes. Kuzma, Ball, Ingram, Hart, and Caldwell Pope. I think you could play all 5 of them. I think all of their prices are extremely fair. Kuzma's playing out of this world. And just like I told you guys with Otto Porter, you watch games. That's a part of this research process. You watch games and you see things. It was a national televised game. I don't know how many of you guys stuck around to watch the interview, but Kyle Kuzma said he put in a bunch of work and took a bunch of jump shots the day before. And the key words he mentioned were, I finally found my jump shot. It's been 6 months. So when a guy's been struggling for 6 months and putting up those kind of numbers, 2 things pop into my head. 1, him saying he finally found it. And 2, that's confidence. He went out and illustrated that. So I'm okay at 7-3 with Kuzma, especially with, Collins being the most expensive power forward in the slate. I believe at 8-3. 7-3 for your power forward number 1 is a really good deal with a guy like Cornette that you can fill in behind him at number 2. So I think all 5 guys are in play. And you have to take a look at the Utah side. They are diminished. They've got 5 guys who are off their roster basically right now and out. So I like the Lakers in this spot. I think 8 is I almost want to take the 8 points and move on.
Yeah, man, for sure. I mean, on the Utah side, things like you said, they're pretty banged up. It's really especially at the point guard spot. Their top 3 point guards are all out. So I think some of the guys that get the biggest boost, first thing first, is Donovan Mitchell, 8,000. The guy had a monster game last game, scored 33 real life points, has 7 assists, which I think was actually his season high. His usage is going up big time. They got him running a little bit of point guard as well. So I think that he's a really good play in this up-tempo game against the Lakers. Then we move on to a small forward spot. There's 3 guys in a small forward spot that I definitely think we could play on Utah. First thing, Joe Ingles, his usage went up as well. Without, the point guards in the mix, he's a guy that could drop some assists. Obviously you can see past 2 games he has 7 and 6 assists. So they know this guy could dish out some dimes. They put the ball in his hand when they don't have it in Mitchell's hand. I really think he's in play. A guy that you were big on, and he did have a good game. But one thing positive about it is the minutes were there. He played 34 minutes against Orlando. He only got you 14 fantasy points. But Jay Crowder, I mean, he's a guy when he gets minutes, he could get you some defensive stats. He could get hot for the field and make some shots. I definitely think that he's in play as well. And lastly, everywhere I'm looking, they're projecting Royce O'Neal to be in the starting lineup tonight. At bare minimum price, if he's in the starting lineup, I think he's probably going to be the chalk drop spot kind of guy that everybody's really going to go after. I think he's going to get minutes. He's going to get minutes, probably 25, 26 minutes in this game, which is nothing special, but at bare minimum price compared to what he's been getting, I definitely think that he is the premier drop spot against the Lakers in an up-tempo game. And then you can look at Gobert. In the past, we've always liked getting big guys going against the Lakers. But this year, it's been a little bit different. The Lakers have big guys that have bodies to throw at Gobert. You got a JaVale McGee who's big. You got a Tyson Chandler who's a really good defensive, center. And then you got Zubac as well. The young guy's not a pushover neither. So Gobert's definitely in play. They need this guy to step up and score the ball a little bit more with some of the other guys out. I just don't really know how interested I personally am in Gobert. But I think, definitely all 3 of the small forwards that I mentioned for Utah, Eagles, Crowder, Royce O'Neal, and then you look at Donovan Mitchell. Those are my favorite 4 plays on the Utah side of things.
Yeah, let's move on.
Last game, man. This game is the Chicago Bulls going into Golden State to face the Warriors. This game has a 219 over under. Golden State is favored by 15.5.
Let's just look at LaVine real quick because LaVine is listed as available to play as of right now. So I know he was listed as a game time decision before. News has come out since the video started. He's listed available to play. So let's look at LaVine just so we can make a case here. He's had one real huge game with Chris Dunn in like the last 10, and that was 41.5, and that was against Indiana. So I don't like LaVine in this spot. It's a very high over-under. It's a very big spread. The guy I like is Chris Dunn. I've got Chris Dunn in my core right now, and I'm going to give you a couple reasons why. Since coming back and his minutes going to regular minutes, he's played in 12 basketball games. In 9 of those 12 basketball games, he's had at least 7 assists. You look at what he did in his last game against Portland. He only played 24 minutes, had 34 fantasy points. When you could get a guy at 7.1 who's going to handle the basketball in the point guard position, going to have a high usage rate, and the minutes are going to be there. And when I say minutes, there's 2 things I'm looking for in minutes. 1, raw minutes, and 2, what's your fantasy point per minute production-wise. This guy's over 1 right now. So you got a guy at 1 fantasy point per minute. It's worth noting the last time these 2 teams played this season, the Warriors put up 91 points in the first half. There was no Chris Dunn in that game. There was no Markkanen. There was no Bobby Portis. They didn't have any of these things. Chicago is a different basketball team right now. Some of that 15-point spread has to be built in here. I think Chicago's starting to become competitive. The Warriors will win this game going away. There's no doubt in my mind about that. But Chris Dunn's a guy I love, and for all those reasons. Fantasy points per minute, put up 34 fantasy points against Portland the other night in only 24 minutes. I just like Chris Dunn a ton at 7.1 on the slate.
Yeah, man. I talked about him the other day. Chris Dunn's really playing well, so I like him as well. On the Warriors side of things, I mean, I'm gonna say all of them are in play. Curry's in play, Clay's in play, been playing very well. Durant's in play, and Draymond's in play. They're all in play. I mean, the things are really starting to come together for the Warriors. They're starting to get healthy. You know, you got DeMarcus Cousins is gonna come back next week. Things are going very well, but there's a lot of mouths to feed. That's the thing about it. If we don't expect this game to stay close, do we want to pay 10,000 for Curry or Durant? You know, now Klay Thompson's price is up. You know, it's almost 8,000. The guy's been playing very well also, but I'm gonna go right back to it. The guy that I like, you know, you got Draymond, 7,400, continues to be underpriced. He's giving you a solid floor without at least 33 in the past 3 games. Earlier in the year when he faced Chicago, he literally only played 25 minutes and got us 35 fantasy points. So he's one of those guys that could get us fantasy points in bunches. You know, triple-double upside any night. So of all the Warriors, I think that Draymond is my favorite play on the Warriors side of things, but I definitely think the big four are all in play.
One quick thing before we get out of here. Do yourself a favor. If you're playing 150 lines, if you're playing 10 lines, I don't care what it is tonight. Do yourself a favor and put Jordan Bell in a couple of lineups. And I'm going to tell you why really quick. Chicago drafted him. If you don't think athletes care about narratives, they did a whole story on this where Steve Kerr purposely went to this guy the first time they played the Bulls and told him, go get it tonight. And then if you'll remember last year, Jordan Bell was playing at a high level and he actually got hurt and hurt his leg. I believe it was in Chicago and didn't come up with any points. And that was a very chalky spot for Jordan Bell where he burned a lot of people. He did have 12 fantasy points the last time these guys played in Chicago. Golden State put up 90 in the first half, like I said. So do yourself a favor. Play this guy a couple of times. Nobody will own him. I guarantee you that. Play him as a drop spot in your build, and he may go off tonight.
Yeah. I love narratives. I'm a narrative kind of guy, so I like that for sure. So, hey, that's 9 games, you know, in a nutshell. We got about an hour and 15 minutes still until lock. Definitely waiting on some injury news, so keep an eye out for that. If you haven't,
hey, bro, one other thing we should mention: if Embiid is out, and that is the early game, so we should know. Mike Muscala also becomes a real good drop spot play at 3,700.
Yeah, no, for sure. I play Mike Muscala a bunch of times. Hey, right now, as we speak, just throwing it out there right before I get out, Giannis officially ruled out for tonight's slate. So definitely take a hard look at Middleton. Definitely take a hard look at Brogdon. We already mentioned it. Those are our favorite 2 guys on the Milwaukee side of things. If Giannis was ruled out, just happened. So definitely, hey, make sure and you know, keep an eye out for injury news. We're still waiting on some other stuff. That is one big piece to the puzzle that we have been waiting on. Now we're really just waiting on that Embiid news, and we can kind of make our final decisions on this slate. Hey, thank you guys very much for checking out this video. Thank you very much, Jeremy, for helping me out with this video. That's all we got for you guys today, man. If hopefully this video helped you guys out. Good luck on your contest tonight. All right, guys. Hey, peace out.